My name is Lorenza Lopez, and I'm 34 years old. When I called my father from a hospital bed, doubled over in pain, needing emergency surgery, and begged him to watch my 3-year-old son, he said 5 words. I want a quiet weekend. My mother added, just call a babysitter, Lorenza. No concern, no questions, just no. I'd given them nearly $200,000 over 6 years. And when I needed them for 48 hours, they chose brunch plans over their grandson. They hung up. I hired a stranger. 2 weeks later, they knocked on my door, not to apologize, but to ask for $8,500. What they didn't know was that my grandmother was done staying quiet. And what happened at that birthday party? Let's just say the whole family finally learned who'd really been paying for their comfortable life. It started on a Friday, November 15th, 2025. I was working a 12-hour shift at Providence Hospital in Chicago, Ward 5B. I'm a registered nurse, so I'm used to pain, other people's pain. I know how to read it, assess it, treat it. But that morning, around 11:30, I felt something I hadn't felt before. Sharp, low, right side. I told myself it was bad lunch, leftover pasta from the night before. I kept working. By 2 o'clock, I couldn't stand upright. One of my coworkers, Sarah, an RN with 20 years on me, took one look at my face and said, Lorenza, you're gray. Stop being a nurse for 2 seconds and be a patient. Go. Now. I went. The emergency department doctor examined me for maybe 4 minutes before he said the word I'd been dreading. We need to operate. Tonight. Appendicitis. My appendix was inflamed, possibly about to rupture. If it burst, I'd be looking at sepsis, infection, maybe worse. I nodded. I understood the medicine. What I didn't understand was how I was going to handle everything else. It was 2:45 in the afternoon. Sunshine daycare closed at 5. Oliver, my son, 3 years old, was there right now, probably playing with blocks or watching Bluey during quiet time. He had no idea his mom was about to go under anesthesia. He had no idea I wouldn't be able to pick him up. And I had no idea who was going to take care of him. My ex-husband lives in California with his new wife. He sends $400 a month in child support, half of what the divorce agreement says, and I don't have the money to fight him on it. He wasn't an option. My best friend was on a flight to Denver for her sister's wedding. There was only one option left. I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking. An IV was already in my arm. A nurse I didn't know was prepping me for surgery, and I was about to call the 2 people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. I dialed my father's number. He picked up on the 3rd ring. Lorenza? Dad, I said. My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. I'm in the ER. I have appendicitis. They're taking me into surgery tonight, and I need you to pick up Oliver from daycare and watch him until Sunday. Just 48 hours. Please. Silence. 5 seconds of silence. Then, Lorenza, it's Friday. I blinked. I know. That's why I'm calling. Daycare closes at 5 and I can't. Your mother and I have plans this weekend, he said. His tone was flat, matter of fact, like he was telling me the weather. We've been looking forward to it. Can't you call a babysitter? I sat up straighter in the hospital bed, even though it hurt. Dad, I'm about to have surgery. I'm asking you to watch your grandson for 2 days. Exactly. 2 days. That's a lot, Lorenza. We want a quiet weekend. I heard my mother's voice in the background, sharp, clipped. Tell her we're busy. My father cleared his throat. Lorenza, we raised you. We did our part. Call a babysitter. The line went dead. I sat there staring at my phone. They live in Berwyn, 25 minutes away. I'd been paying their mortgage, $1,850 a month for 6 years, and they couldn't watch my son for 48 hours. I didn't cry. I didn't call back. I didn't beg. I opened my phone and searched Emergency Nanny Chicago. The first result was Urban Sitter. I called the agency. A woman with a kind voice answered. I need someone in 90 minutes, I said. I'm a single mom, I'm having emergency surgery and I have no one else. Please. She put me on hold. 2 minutes later, she came back. We have someone. Her name is Jessica Brennan. She's 28, CPR certified, early childhood education degree. She can be at the daycare by 4:30. How much? $35 an hour. I did the math. 48 hours, $1,680. I was already $6,200 in credit card debt. I'll take her, I said. The woman walked me through the authorization process. I logged into the daycare portal and added Jessica's name to the pickup list. I sent her Oliver's information, his favorite stuffed animal, Peanut the elephant, his dietary restrictions, his bedtime routine. At 3:10, I texted her. His favorite stuffed animal is Peanut. He likes mac and cheese. Thank you for saving us. A stranger replied, You're not alone. I've got him. My own parents hadn't said that in years. At 5:45, they wheeled me toward the operating room. My phone was on the table next to me. I checked it one last time. 12 texts from Jessica, updates, photos, Oliver eating goldfish crackers, Oliver smiling. 0 texts from my parents. 0 calls. As the anesthesia pulled me under, my last thought was this. I pay their mortgage. I pay their mortgage. Why wasn't I enough? I need to tell you how we got here, because none of this makes sense without context. It started in 2018. I was 27. I'd just gotten my RN license. I was working full-time, making $62,000 a year. It wasn't a fortune, but it was stable. I was proud. Then my father called. Mija, he said, I need to talk to you. He told me he'd been injured on a construction site, his back. He couldn't work anymore. Disability payments wouldn't start for months, and even when they did, they'd be a fraction of his old salary. The bank was threatening foreclosure. I just need help, he said. Temporary, 3 to 6 months, just until I get back on my feet. I believed him. I sent the first payment on August 15th, 2018, $1,850, straight from my checking account to his mortgage company. 3 months became 6, 6 became 12. By 2019, I realized temporary was a lie. But I kept paying. My father never went back to work. He filed for disability and started collecting about $1,800 a month. My mother worked part-time at a nail salon, making maybe $800. Together, they brought in $2,600 a month. Their mortgage alone was $1,850. They didn't cut back, they didn't downsize, they didn't adjust, they just kept taking. From 2018 to 2024, I paid their mortgage, $1,850 a month, 75 months. Do the math. That's $138,750. But it wasn't just the mortgage. I paid their car insurance, their health insurance supplement, $450 a month. I paid their utilities, electric, water, internet, about $200 a month. And then there were the emergencies. A text from my mother, always urgent, always desperate. Lore, the water heater broke. Plumber says $1,200. Can you Venmo by Friday? Dad's car needs new tires, $800. Please, Mija, we can't drive without them. I need to see a specialist. Insurance won't cover it. Can you send $1,500? 28 times over 6 years, an average of $950 each time. I kept a spreadsheet. I'm a nurse. I'm good with details. The total came to $214,100. My grandmother, my mother's mother, Abuela Rosa, later recalculated it. She's more conservative than I am. She excluded some overlapping insurance payments. Her number was $196,000. Either way, it was more than most people make in 4 years. And I gave it to them while I was raising a child alone, working 12-hour shifts, sleeping 4 hours a night. In 2020, my parents went on a cruise, Carnival, 7 days in the Caribbean. In 2021, they bought new living room furniture, a sectional couch, $1,700. In 2023, my father bought a Ford F-150, brand new, $52,000. When I asked him how he afforded it, he said, "We saved." I was still driving my 2015 Honda Civic, 160,000 miles. The check engine light had been on for 8 months. I didn't say anything. I just kept paying. In March of 2022, I had a baby. Oliver, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, born at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. My parents didn't visit me in the hospital. They were busy. They came to my apartment once, 2 weeks after he was born. They stayed 20 minutes. They didn't hold him. When Oliver turned 1, I asked if they wanted to watch him for a few hours so I could sleep. My mother said, "We're not a daycare, Lorenza." But they still texted me every month, asking for money. In May of 2024, my husband left me. We'd been married 3 years. He filed for divorce. The reason he cited was irreconcilable differences. The real reason was that I was always broke, always exhausted, always giving to people who took. He wasn't wrong. After the divorce, I was alone, completely alone. Oliver's father, my ex, moved to California with his new wife. He's supposed to send $800 a month in child support. He sends $400. I can't afford a lawyer to fight it, so I work. I take every shift I can. I put Oliver in daycare for $1,200 a month. I pay rent, $1,650 for a 2-bedroom in Lincoln Park. I buy groceries. I pay utilities. I make minimum payments on my credit cards. And every month, I sent money to my parents. By November of 2025, I had $6,200 in credit card debt. I had $300 in my checking account. I had no savings. I was drowning. And my parents were buying patio furniture. My grandmother saw it. Abuela Rosa is 81 years old. She's my mother's mother, but she doesn't talk to my mother much anymore. She lives in a studio apartment in Lincoln Square. She survives on Social Security, $1,350 a month. And twice a month, she watches Oliver for free. She'd been watching me, too. In September of 2024, she asked me how much I'd given my parents that month. "Abuela, how much?" $2,800. "And they thank you?" I didn't answer. "Sí, mija," she said. "They do. They have to." But they didn't. What I didn't know was that Abuela Rosa had started keeping records. In June of 2024, after she found me crying in my kitchen about money, she started writing everything down, every transaction, every date, every amount. She told me later, "I knew one day the truth would need to come out." She just didn't know it would be at a birthday party. I woke up in the recovery room at 11:45. The surgery had taken longer than expected. My appendix had adhered to my cecum, stuck to the tissue around it. The surgeon had to be careful. It took over 4 hours. A nurse I didn't recognize was checking my vitals. The monitors beeped. My mouth was dry. My abdomen felt like it had been split open, which, technically, it had. "How are you feeling?" the nurse asked. "Terrible," I said. She smiled. "That's normal. Dr. Nguyen said your appendix was minutes from rupturing. You got here just in time." I nodded. "My son," I said. "Did anyone call?" She checked the chart. "Someone named Jessica texted. She says he's asleep. Everything's good." I closed my eyes. Jessica. A stranger, not my parents. "Did my parents call?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. The nurse looked uncomfortable. "No calls, honey." I stayed in the recovery room until 1:30 in the morning. Then they moved me to a regular room, room 804. The pain was a 7 out of 10, even with morphine. But the worst pain wasn't physical. At 2 a.m., I checked my phone. 12 texts from Jessica. Photos of Oliver. Updates. Reassurances. "He ate dinner. Mac and cheese, just like you said. He asked for you before bed. I told him you're resting and you'll see him soon. He's asleep now. Peanut is with him. You focus on healing." 0 texts from my parents. 0 calls. I cried. Not from the incision. From the realization that I had built my life around people who saw me as an ATM, not a daughter. Saturday was the longest day of my life. I couldn't eat. Clear liquids only. Broth, jello, ice chips. I couldn't walk more than a few steps without feeling like my insides were tearing. At 2 in the afternoon, I spiked a fever, 100.2 degrees Fahrenheit. The doctor said it was normal, post-op inflammation, but they wanted to keep me another night to monitor for infection. I texted Jessica. I have to stay one more night. I'm so sorry. She replied immediately. Don't apologize. Oliver is great. We went to the park this morning. He's napping now. You rest. At 3 o'clock, my grandmother arrived. Abuela Rosa walked into my hospital room carrying a container of caldo de pollo, chicken soup, homemade, still warm. You can't eat this yet, she said, but you will. And when you can, it will heal you. She sat with me for 90 minutes. She asked, Victor call? I shook my head. Her face went hard, pure fury. He will regret this, she said quietly. I didn't know what she meant, not yet. That evening, I watched Jessica's Instagram story. She'd posted a photo of Oliver at the park. He was smiling, holding Peanut, standing next to a slide. The caption said, "Praying for this sweet boy's mama." A stranger was mothering my child with more tenderness than my own mother had shown in years. I didn't know whether to feel grateful or heartbroken. I felt both. Sunday afternoon, they discharged me. 4:15 p.m. Abuela Rosa drove me home. She'd recovered from her cold. Didn't want to risk getting Oliver sick earlier, but now she was clear. When we walked into my apartment, Jessica was on the floor with Oliver, building a tower out of blocks. Oliver saw me and ran. "Mommy, you're home!" I knelt down, slowly because of the stitches, and hugged him. "I missed you, baby." "Jessica made me mac and cheese," he said, beaming. Jessica stood up. She was younger than me, 28, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, kind eyes. "He's an angel," she said. "Seriously, if you ever need help again, call me. I mean it." I pulled out my credit card. $1,680. She hesitated. "You don't have to tip. You've been through enough." "Please," I said. "Take it." She accepted. And then she hugged me. I started crying. "Some things aren't about money," she whispered. After she left, Abuela Rosa helped me get Oliver ready for bed. Bath, pajamas, story time. By 7:30, he was asleep. I sat alone in my living room. My phone was next to me, silent. I opened my bank account on my phone. Checking balance, $430. Credit card balance, $7,880. And in 13 days, my parents' mortgage payment was due, $1,850. For the first time in 6 years, I thought, what if I just didn't? What if I said no? I opened my laptop. I pulled up an Excel spreadsheet. I listed every expense I had: rent, daycare, utilities, groceries, gas, insurance, student loans. Without my parents, my monthly expenses were $3,200. My income after taxes was $5,100. That left $1,900 a month. I could pay off my credit card debt in 5 months. I could open a savings account. I could start a college fund for Oliver. I could breathe. At 11:47 p.m., I made a decision. I logged into my bank. I found the recurring Zelle transfer, the one that sent $1,850 to my parents' mortgage company on the first of every month. I clicked delete. A confirmation box popped up. "Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment?" My hand shook as I clicked confirm. It felt like jumping off a cliff. It felt like flying. The first week after I got home was quiet. Too quiet. I was on sick leave from the hospital, 7 days. I spent most of it on the couch, healing. Oliver stayed in daycare during the day. I picked him up at 5. We ate dinner together. We watched Encanto. We read books. It was peaceful. And my parents didn't call. Not once. No text asking how I was feeling. No call to check if I'd survived surgery. Nothing. Abuela Rosa called me every day. Still nothing? She'd ask. Still nothing, I'd say. They don't deserve you, mija. On November 24th, 9 days after my surgery, I went back to work. My coworkers welcomed me back. They asked how I was feeling. They brought me coffee. Sarah hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're okay." It felt good to be cared for. That evening, at 6:42, I got a text. From my mother. My heart jumped. Finally. An apology. I opened it. "Where's the mortgage payment? It's usually here by now." I stared at the screen. "No, how are you feeling? No, we're sorry. Just, where's the money?" I sat down on my couch. Oliver was playing with his toy trucks. I typed a reply. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, I wrote, "I'm not paying it anymore." I hit send. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. My father. I didn't answer. He called again. And again. 3 times in 20 minutes. At 7:04, he left a voicemail. I played it. His voice was tight, angry. "Lorenza, this is ridiculous. You can't just stop. We have an agreement. Call me back, now." I deleted the voicemail. At 7:30, my mother texted, "How can you do this to us, after everything we've done for you?" I replied, "I asked you to watch Oliver for 48 hours. You said no, I'm done." She started typing. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. They didn't call again that night, and for the first time in months, I slept well. The second week was stranger. They went silent, completely silent. No calls, no texts, no voicemails. It was like I didn't exist. On November 28th, I opened a savings account for Oliver. I transferred $2,000, the money I would have sent to my parents for December. It was the first time I'd saved anything in 4 years. I felt lighter, but I also felt afraid because I knew my parents. I knew how they operated. The silence wasn't forgiveness, it was strategy. Abuela Rosa called me on November 30th. "Mija," she said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "Your father's birthday is in 2 weeks, December 14th. I'm invited, so are you." "I'm not going," I said. "I think you should." "Why?" There was a pause. "Because I'm bringing a gift," she said. "And I want you to see their faces when I give it to them." I didn't understand. Not yet. That night at 7 p.m. I heard a knock on my door. Oliver was in his pajamas watching Encanto for the 3rd time that week. I looked through the peephole. My stomach dropped. It was my parents. I opened the door. My father stood there in a new jacket. Carhartt. Probably $180. My mother was next to him, holding a designer purse. Kate Spade. $350 if I remembered right. I'd seen her post about it on Facebook 2 weeks ago. "Can we come in?" my father asked. I glanced back at Oliver. He was oblivious, singing along to "We Don't Talk About Bruno." "This won't take long," my mother added. I stepped aside. They didn't sit down. They stood in my entryway like salespeople. My father got straight to the point. "We need $8,500, he said. "By December 15th. I blinked. "For what?" "That's not your concern," my mother said. My father cleared his throat. "We've hit a rough patch. You're our daughter. Family helps family." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "You didn't help me," I said. "That was different. We had plans. I had surgery." My mother's face tightened. "And you're fine now, aren't you? You're being dramatic." I looked at my father. "Get out." He stared at me. "Excuse me?" I said, "Get out of my house." His face darkened. "We know people, Lorenza. People in the community, in the church. They'll hear about this. How you abandoned your parents. How you're selfish, ungrateful." I stepped closer. "Tell them," I said. "Tell everyone. I have receipts." My father's expression flickered, just for a second. Receipts? He said. 6 years, every payment, every Zelle, every Venmo, every text begging for money. I have all of it. My mother's voice went high. You've been keeping track? You thought I wouldn't? She looked at my father, then back at me. That's cruel, she said. Keeping score like that? I almost laughed. Cruel is telling your daughter you want a quiet weekend while she's heading into surgery, I said. Now get out before I call the police. My father didn't move. You'll regret this, Lorenza, he said. When we're gone, when you're standing at our funerals, you'll regret this. My mother started to cry. I opened the door wider. Leave. They left. I closed the door, locked it, leaned against it. Oliver ran over. Mommy, who was that? I knelt down and hugged him. Nobody, baby. Nobody important. He looked up at me. Was that Grandpa? Yeah, sweetie. Why didn't he say hi to me? I felt my throat tighten. I don't know, baby. But it's okay. We're okay. After Oliver went to bed, I called Abuela Rosa. I told her everything. She listened in silence. When I finished, she said, Good. I'm proud of you, mija. They're going to destroy me, I said. They're going to tell everyone I'm a terrible daughter. Let them, she said. Because in 2 weeks, at your father's birthday party, I'm going to tell everyone the truth. Abuela! And you're going to be there to watch. It started the next day, December 1st, a Monday. I woke up to 3 text messages from relatives I barely talked to. The first was from my Aunt Beatrice. Lorenza, your mom called me crying. She says you won't help pay for her surgery. I know you're busy, but family is family. Please reconsider. I stared at the message. Surgery? My mother didn't need surgery. I checked my phone. 2 more messages. Similar content. Different relatives. By the end of the day, I'd heard from 12 people. Cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends. All of them had the same story. My mother needed urgent heart surgery. I was refusing to help. I was ungrateful. I was abandoning my elderly parents in their time of need. It was a lie. I knew it was a lie because I'd checked my mother's insurance portal 6 months ago. I used to be an authorized user on her account, and she'd never removed me. Her last doctor's appointment was October 3rd. Routine checkup. Blood pressure normal. Cholesterol slightly elevated. No cardiac issues. She didn't need surgery, but 12 people believed she did, and they all thought I was a monster. I didn't reply to most of them. I replied to 3. It's complicated. Please don't believe everything you hear. On December 3rd, my mother posted on Facebook. The post was public. Sometimes you give everything to your children and they forget where they came from. Praying for strength as I face health challenges alone. God sees everything. Within 2 hours, it had 300 reactions, 87 comments. Most of them were sympathetic. Praying for you. Carmen. Your daughter should be ashamed. Family is supposed to be there for each other. One comment stood out. It was from someone I didn't know, a friend of a friend. Carmen, maybe tell the whole story? My mother didn't reply to that one. I saw the post at 6:30 that evening. Someone had tagged me. My first instinct was to comment, to post the receipts right there, to destroy her publicly. But I didn't, because my grandmother called. I saw it, she said. Abuela, I have to say something. She's lying. She's making me look... No, mija, not yet. But let them dig deeper, Abuela said. The higher they climb, the harder they fall. I didn't understand, but I trusted her. On December 5th, Abuela Rosa came to my apartment. She was carrying a canvas bag. Inside were 143 pages, printed bank statements, Zelle confirmations, Venmo screenshots, text messages, every transaction I'd ever made to my parents, organized by year, highlighted, annotated. I've been working on this for 2 weeks, she said. I stared at the stack. Abuela? "We're going to bring this to the birthday party," she said, "in front of everyone." "That's public humiliation." "They humiliated you first," she said, "on Facebook, in front of 300 people. This is justice." I looked at the receipts. She'd calculated the total at the bottom of the summary page, $196,000. "What if it backfires?" I asked. She smiled. "Mija," she said, "the truth doesn't backfire, it explodes." The week before the party, the smear campaign intensified. 4 more people texted me. One of them, my cousin Daniel, publicly defended me on Facebook. He commented on my mother's post. "I don't know the full story, but I know Lorenza. She's not cruel. If she cut them off, there's a reason." My father unfriended him. Daniel texted me privately. "Hey Lore, IDK what's going on, but I know you. You're not cruel. If you cut them off, there's a reason. I got your back." I started crying when I read it, because out of everyone in my family, only 3 people believed me. Daniel, my Aunt Sophia, who stayed quiet publicly but texted me support, and Abuela Rosa. Everyone else thought I was the villain. On December 10th, Abuela called me. "Mija," she said, "it's time. Victor's birthday is Saturday. Let me handle this." "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." On December 13th, I got an email reminder. "Victor's 62nd birthday celebration. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Hope to see you there." It was from my mother. The audacity. I replied, "I'll be there." She didn't respond. She had no idea what was coming. December 14th, 3:15 in the afternoon. I pulled up to my parents' house with Abuela Rosa and Oliver in the car. The house looked the same as always. A small bungalow in Berwyn, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, brick exterior. I'd been paying the mortgage on this house for 6 years. It was worth about $280,000 now. They'd bought it in 2005 for $185,000. They owed maybe $70,000, and I'd kept them from losing it. The backyard was decorated. A tent, tables, a cooler full of beer. There were about 30 people there, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, church friends. My father saw me first. He looked surprised. My mother looked tense. They both walked over. "Lorenza," my mother said, forced smile. "You came, and you brought Abuela." Abuela Rosa smiled sweetly. "Of course, mija. It's Victor's birthday. Family should be together, no?" My father knelt down to Oliver's level. "Hey, buddy," he said. Oliver hid behind my leg. He hadn't seen them in months. He didn't remember them. Abuela was carrying the canvas bag. People assumed it was full of gifts. It wasn't. We sat at a table near the back. Abuela put the bag on the ground next to her chair. For the next hour, the party was normal. People ate, drank, laughed. My father opened gifts, a new tool set, a bottle of whiskey, a gift card to Home Depot. At 4:17, he stood up to give a speech. "I just want to thank everyone for coming," he said. He was holding a beer, smiling. "These past few months have been hard." He looked at me, "but I'm grateful for those who still stand by us. Family isn't always easy. Sometimes people forget what you've done for them, but I believe in forgiveness. I believe in second chances." He paused. "So even though some people here have let us down, I'm choosing grace." People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few glanced at me. I stayed still, face neutral. Abuela Rosa sipped her water. My father raised his beer. "To family," he said, "the ones who show up." People toasted, awkwardly. And then Abuela Rosa stood up. The backyard went quiet. "Victor," Abuela said. Her voice was calm, sweet, even. "Can I say something?" My father looked surprised, but he nodded. He thought she was going to support him. Mistake. Abuela Rosa reached into the canvas bag. She pulled out the stack of papers. 143 pages. "I also want to talk about family," she said. "And who really shows up." She looked around the yard. Everyone was watching. "Victor, you talk about being let down," she said. Let me tell you about being let down. She held up the first page. 2 weeks ago, your daughter, my granddaughter, was in the hospital having emergency surgery. She called you, begging you to watch her son, your grandson, for 48 hours. The yard was silent. You said, I want a quiet weekend. Gasps. Abuela didn't stop. Carmen told her to call a babysitter, so she did. She paid a stranger $1,600 to do what you should have done for free. She looked at my mother. And you know what? You didn't even call to see if she survived the surgery. My mother's face went white. Abuela held up another page. Let me tell you what else Lorenza did. She started reading. August 15th, 2018, $1,850. Mortgage. She flipped to the next page. September 1st, 2018, $1,850. Mortgage. She kept going. November 3rd, 2020, $1,200. Emergency car repair. March 22nd, 2023, $2,100. Medical bills. She read for 3 minutes straight. People stared. My father's face turned red. For 6 years, Abuela said, Lorenza gave you $196,000. Someone gasped. And when she needed you for 2 days, you chose brunch. She wasn't done. She pulled out another piece of paper. And 2 weeks after refusing to help, you came to her apartment demanding $8,500. Not asking, demanding. She held up the paper. For what? She said. Gambling debts at Rivers Casino. My father stood up. You have no right. Sit down, Abuela said. Her voice was steel. I'm not finished. He sat. Abuela pulled out another document. You told everyone Carmen needs heart surgery. That's a lie. She held up a printout of my mother's insurance records. Carmen's last doctor visit was October 3rd, 2025. Routine checkup, blood pressure normal, no cardiac issues. She's healthy. She looked around the yard. You lied to your entire family to make Lorenza look cruel. My mother started crying, mascara running down her face. My father's brother, Uncle Javier, stood up. Is this true? He asked. Victor, is this true? My father didn't answer. My Aunt Beatrice covered her mouth with her hand. My cousin Daniel stood up and walked over to me. He put his hand on my shoulder. 3 people got up and left the party without saying a word. Abuela Rosa set the papers down on the table. Victor, she said, you want to talk about family? About who shows up? She pointed at me. Lorenza showed up for you for 6 years. She paid your bills. She kept you in this house. And when she needed you for 48 hours, you chose yourself. My father exploded. This is my house, he shouted. Abuela's eyes were ice. No, Victor, she said. This is Lorenza's house. She paid for it. Chaos. My father was yelling. My mother was sobbing. Uncle Ramon walked up to my father. You lied to us, he said. You made us attack Lorenza? People started whispering. 5 more people stood up and left. 8 people walked over to me. My Aunt Sophia hugged me. She was crying. I'm so sorry, she said. I believed them. I texted you horrible things. I'm so sorry. It's okay, I said. You didn't know? My Aunt Beatrice came over next. Then my cousin Marisol. Then Daniel's wife. They all apologized. My father and mother walked into their house and slammed the door. Through the window, I watched them standing in the living room. The living room with the furniture I'd helped pay for. In the house I'd kept from foreclosure. Next to the driveway where the $52,000 truck sat. They were alone. Abuela, Oliver, and I left at 5:30. We drove home in silence. Oliver had fallen asleep in his car seat. When we got to my apartment, Abuela stayed for tea. I sat across from her at my kitchen table. Are you okay, mija? She asked. I didn't know how to answer. I don't know, free? Guilty? Both? That's normal, she said. You just broke chains. Chains hurt when they come off. What if I'm wrong? I asked. You're not, she said. And deep down, you know it. That night, after Abuela went home, I checked my phone. 14 text messages. 9 of them were apologies. 2 were from my father's brother and my mother's sister. Angry, defensive of my parents. 3 were from people I hadn't heard from in years. Messages of support. I turned my phone off, and for the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. The next morning, I woke up to 23 missed calls and messages. The fallout had begun. Over the next 3 days, December 15th through the 17th, 9 people reached out to apologize. My Aunt Beatrice came to my apartment with homemade flan. She cried. She said she was ashamed. She said she'd judged me without knowing the truth. I forgave her. My cousin Marisol sent flowers. Daniel posted something vague on Facebook. Sometimes the people who seem the most ungrateful are actually the ones who've given the most. Listen before you judge. It didn't mention names. But everyone knew. 6 people unfriended my parents on Facebook. 3 people, Uncle Javier, Aunt Luce, and a neighbor named Dawn, stayed loyal to my parents. The rest of the family stayed neutral, unsure, uncomfortable. On December 17th, I got an email. Sender, Victor Lopez. Subject line, "We need to talk." I stared at it for 5 minutes before I opened it. The email was 287 words long. It wasn't an apology. It was a defense. "Lorenza, we understand you're upset. Perhaps we could have handled things differently. But publicly shaming us was cruel. We're your parents. We deserve respect. That said, we're willing to attend family therapy to repair this relationship. We hope you'll agree. Love, Mom and Dad." I read it 3 times. 60% of it was defensive. 30% was guilt-tripping. 10% was an olive branch. There was no mention of the surgery, no mention of the money, no mention of the lies. I called Abuela. "They want therapy," I said. She laughed, not cruelly, but knowingly. "Of course they do," she said. "They lost their ATM. Let me tell you what you tell them." I listened. And on December 18th, I replied, "I'll consider therapy under these conditions. 1. You both attend individual therapy for 3 months first. I need to see commitment to change, not just words. 2. I will never give you money again. This is non-negotiable. 3. Any visits with Oliver happen with supervision. Trust is earned. 4. You post a public apology on Facebook correcting the lies about Mom's surgery and my abandonment. If you agree to all 4, we can talk. If not, we're done." I hit send. 6 hours later, my father replied, "These terms are extreme. We'll think about it." I replied, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." On December 20th, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Lorenza," she said. Her voice was shaky, tearful. "We'll do the therapy. Individual first, like you said." I waited. "But the Facebook apology," she said. "That's too much. Can we skip that one?" "No," I said. "Lorenza, please. That's so humiliating." "More humiliating than what you did to me?" Silence. "We didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," I said. "You knew exactly what you were doing. Public apology, or I'm done." "I'll talk to your father," she said. "You have until Christmas," I said. "Decide." I hung up. On December 21st, I checked my bank account. I'd saved $5,200 in 2 months, November and December. 2 months without sending money to my parents. I transferred $3,000 into Oliver's college fund. I paid down $2,200 of my credit card debt. For the first time in 4 years, I had an emergency fund. $1,500. It wasn't much, but it was mine. On December 22nd, I sat with Oliver on the couch. "Hey, buddy," I said. "You know how Mommy's been working a lot?" "Yeah," he said. "Well, I opened a special account for you, for when you're older, for college." "What's college?" I smiled. It's a place where you learn to be anything you want, and Mommy's going to make sure you can go. He hugged me, and I realized this was what freedom felt like. On December 23rd, my mother texted, "We'll do the Facebook post, but we need help writing it. Can you send us what to say?" I stared at the message. They still didn't get it. They wanted me to write their apology. I replied, "No, the apology has to come from you, in your words. It has to be real. If you can't find the words, that tells me everything I need to know." She replied, "That's not fair." I replied, "Life isn't fair. Post by December 26th or we're done." She didn't respond. That night, Abuela Rosa came over with pozole. We ate together. The three of us, me, Abuela, and Oliver. Oliver asked, "Is Grandpa coming for Christmas?" I looked at Abuela. "No, baby," I said. "Not this year." "Okay," he said. And he went back to eating. He didn't seem upset, because he didn't know them. They'd never been there. Christmas morning, December 25th, 2025. I woke up to Oliver jumping on my bed. "Mommy! Mommy! Santa came!" I laughed. My stitches were almost healed. I could move without pain now. We went to the living room. The tree was small, 4 feet tall, $20 at Target, but it had lights and ornaments Oliver had made at daycare, and under it were gifts. A Lego city set, $65, 3 books, $30, a winter coat, $85, a stuffed dinosaur, $20. I'd spent $800 on Christmas this year. Last year, I'd spent $400 on my parents' gifts alone. This year, every dollar went to Oliver. At 11 a.m., Abuela Rosa arrived. She brought tamales. 30 of them, homemade, champurrado, pan dulce. We ate together, just the three of us. No drama, no toxicity, no guilt, just peace. At 2 in the afternoon, Oliver looked up at me. "Mommy," he said, "this is the best Christmas." "Yeah, baby?" "Yeah, because you're happy." I started crying. He was right. I was happy. For the first time in years, I was happy. At 4 o'clock, I checked Facebook. No apology post from my parents. At 6 o'clock, my phone buzzed. An email from my father. Subject: "Fine, we'll do it." Attached was a screenshot of a draft Facebook post. "We want to apologize for any misunderstandings regarding family matters. We love Lorenza and hope to rebuild our relationship. We're committed to therapy and growth. Thank you for your patience." I read it twice. It was vague, generic, corporate. It didn't admit they lied. It didn't mention the surgery. It didn't take accountability. I replied, "This isn't an apology, this is PR. You didn't admit you lied about Mom's heart surgery. You didn't admit you refused to help during my surgery. You didn't take accountability. Try again, or don't. Your choice." I didn't hear back that night. December 26th, 9 a.m. I woke up and checked Facebook. There was a new post from my mother, public. I held my breath and read, "I want to apologize to my daughter Lorenza. I posted things that weren't true. I said I needed heart surgery. I don't. I made Lorenza look bad to family and friends, and that was wrong. We also didn't help her when she had emergency surgery, and we should have. We're going to therapy to work on ourselves. We're sorry." It wasn't perfect, but it was real. The post had 142 reactions, 53 comments. The top comment was from Daniel. "Proud of you for this. Now do the work." I didn't comment. I didn't react. I screenshot the post, saved it, and then I texted my parents. "Thank you. First therapy session?" They replied, "Scheduled for January 2nd. I replied, "Good, keep me updated." That was it. No "I love you," no "miss you," just boundaries. Later that afternoon, I sat alone in my apartment. Oliver was napping. Abuela had gone home. I opened my journal. I'd started keeping one in late November. My therapist, Yes, I'd started therapy too, had suggested it. Dr. Helen Tran, a clinical social worker, $120 a session. I paid for it myself with the money I'd saved from not supporting my parents. I'd been 3 times so far. It was helping. I wrote, I don't know if they'll change. I don't know if we'll ever be close again. But I know I'm not their ATM anymore. I'm not their scapegoat. I'm free. I paused. Then I wrote, for 6 years, I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought being a good daughter meant giving until I broke. I was wrong. Love without boundaries is self-destruction. And I refuse to destroy myself for people who wouldn't even watch my son for 2 days. I closed the journal. I looked at Oliver, sleeping on the couch, his face peaceful, Peanut the elephant tucked under his arm. And I thought, he'll never grow up thinking he owes me his whole paycheck. I'm breaking the cycle. Fast forward, January 2nd, 2026. I got a text from my mother, a photo, a waiting room, chairs, magazines, a sign that said Dr. George Ramos, LCSW. The text said, first session done. It was hard, but we went. I stared at the photo. I replied, proud of you. Keep going. She replied, do you think we can fix this? I thought about it. Then I typed, I think you can fix yourselves. And if you do, maybe we can rebuild something. But it won't be what it was. What will it be? I replied, healthier. I don't know how this story ends. Maybe my parents change, maybe they don't. But I've learned something important. I can't control that. I can only control what I accept. And I'm done accepting crumbs from people who should be giving me love. If you're the person who gives and gives until you disappear, please hear me. Stop. You deserve better. Saying no isn't cruelty, it's survival. You deserve to survive. If this story meant something to you, leave one word in the comments describing how you're feeling. Just one word. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's drowning in family obligation, someone who thinks love means suffering, share this with them. Sometimes we need permission to save ourselves. Consider this yours.